What's up, Know Your Books family? Thank you so much for tuning in. I just wanted to share with you guys before you go into the video. This is the very first podcast that we made together in collaboration with 1 Minute Book Review. I'm super excited to share with you guys. I truly believe that On is extremely good at what he does. He's very good at asking questions and digging deep into the material. The audio is a little bit laggy, but I hope that you enjoy it anyway. I think it's good content, and I believe you can get a lot of gems out of it and get a good idea of if Tribe of Mentors is really worth it. All right? Thank you so much for tuning in, and enjoy.
I was thinking, how are we going to intro it? You know, because usually you have your intro and I have my intro.
Yeah.
So I was like, this might be a discussion right here. Who is going to do the intro?
I thought we just
go in there.
We just go in there. Like I thought I think it's quite nice if you just have like a normal chat and then we just go straight into it. I feel like sometimes it can be a bit too formal, can't it?
Yeah. Well, before we go into that, I
Yeah.
just want to tell everyone who's watching right now, if you haven't subscribed to a 1 Minute Book Review, if you haven't subscribed to Know Your Book, please make sure you do. If you haven't followed us on Instagram, you're losing out. You just need to follow us, all right? So we just have to put that out there in the universe.
I agree with everything you just said.
I already thought so.
I couldn't have said it better.
All right, great.
Cool, let's
so
get
you want to
done.
get? I mean, you know, I think like the first thing I really want to say is that I watched the video you sent me, by the way.
Yeah.
Of Tim Ferriss explaining why he wrote Tribe of Mentors.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was thinking, he said, like, this is not a book that you should go from A to Z. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, we just did that. So, you know, but I'm already realizing that a lot of the information I need to get back to. But we're going to go into it a little bit more, probably a little bit later in the podcast, about how you should approach this book once you start reading it. But like the book just starts off with the questions, right? The questions that Tim Ferriss presents. So what are your thoughts on the questions? Could it be any different? Favorite question? Give it to me.
Yeah, let's get into that. Before I get into those, like the video that you're alluding to, for the people who don't know, is the video on his Tim Ferriss's YouTube channel, which he kind of introduces the story behind Tribe of Mentors. So if you're going to read this book, then I suggest that you look at that video, because he just gives a bit of a backstory behind it.
Right.
So I really encourage you to read it if you're looking forward to it. So the questions, yeah, there's 11 of them, and it's very structured. So he asks the guest the 11 questions. Some of them are included in all of them, some are not. But my initial thoughts of them, I think what we should do is we should go through each one and talk about the positives and negatives of each of the ones. Is kind of what books do you gift most, or what are some of the books that have influenced you the most? Obviously for the both of us, this is a very topical question, because I mean,
this is a standard question for me, at least. I mean, in my eyes, but I have to say it was one of my favorite questions, because day in, day out, people, they message me and they comment and they say, you know, what book should I read, or give me your top 5, give me your top 10. But sometimes I'm also still in search of books, right? It's not like I have all my list like already ready, though.
It's not like you've found every book that you know you're going to read. I mean, there's just countless.
Right.
Countless.
I mean, I don't think ever in this lifetime, you or me will actually get through all these books. Like, you know, in the world, that's impossible. So, but I think that was my favorite question, just because I'm a book lover. So it's a must to actually say this is my favorite question. But yeah, I mean that's what I think about this question. It's kind of generic, you're right.
The thing I liked about it. Sorry to interrupt. The thing I liked about it was the patterns that emerged. So once you got to the end of the book, you saw the common themes, the books that emerged. So you had like Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. You had Richard Dawkins, the Selfish Gene. Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, Sapiens. A lot of them actually said Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Work Week, which I thought was a bit of pandering, but
yeah, I know that was a little bit too much. Yeah.
So that was the thing that stood out for me, is kind of the patterns that emerge with the kind of books that people had talked about and said that influenced them. Because then for us, I mean, that was a lot of those books, especially Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Like, I found that a lot of people talked about it, and the book that I'm reading at the moment, which is 12 Rules of Life by Jordan Peterson, he talks about it a lot and how that influenced his way of thinking. So I thought, well, it's even more reason to buy and read a book if you've found so many people have been influenced by that certain book.
Endorsing the book, yeah.
Endorsing,
right.
Exactly, endorsing that book.
Yeah.
So that's what I found really interesting about that question in particular, because it's a good question.
It is. In the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? Distractions, invitations, what new realizations and or approaches help? Any other tips?
So I think this question is kind of the theme throughout the book, and he alludes to it in the introduction, is he got a lot of no's and rejections throughout this book when asking people to be part of the book. So he kind of turned it on its head and included testimonials or examples of people who the approach to saying no, and there's elements of the book that kind of talk about in depth about how to say no properly. So I like how he included this as an individual question as well, to just go into a bit more depth, because I feel like saying no is going to be like the new yes. Like how back in the day people would be like, yeah, how do you say yes in a nice way? I think now, because everyone's so busy and inundated with so many different things, how are you going to be able to say no? And how can you do that in a tactful, productive, and in a way that doesn't make you seem like an absolute, just dick, basically.
Yeah, true that. I mean, we've all had that experience when we're talking to someone asks something of you, and you have a hard time saying no. So I think this question was key for me, especially because, I have a hard time saying no to some things as well. But I think, the overall theme from this question, you know what? I'm not going to share that one. I'm going to keep it to myself. So, for all the viewers out there, I'm going to keep some secret there. So make sure you pick up the book, because it's a great book. I'm just going to put it out there already. Because obviously, since we're talking right now, they can already see that we pretty much enjoyed the book. And, like I always say, there are no shortcuts to knowledge and implementation. So if you want to know more about it, especially this question or anything else, get the book.
You should work for Tim Ferriss. This question was my favorite, which is what do you do when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused? So what do you do? So
that one was your favorite.
This one is my favorite. So the reason why is for people who are constantly thinking about doing different things, constantly coming up with ideas, constantly trying to do so many different things, which I put myself into that category because I'm told, I'm sure you're told by your partner, like I am, that you just need to chill out and just relax.
I need to, man.
Yeah, you just struggle. So for someone like me, I feel like this is the most value, because what does someone like us do when we are overwhelmed or unfocused? Because that comes out from being ambitious, because that's one of the byproducts, because you do get unfocused and overwhelmed in particular. And the thing I liked about this book, was the patterns, like I said, and how you see similarities between different people, and that really surprised me. And I feel
The patterns surprised you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Like I actually didn't feel like that was a real surprising part of the book, because what I do know, especially because I've been through some of these self-help books, and that patterns occur across all successful people. Like have an amazing work ethic, and we're not like, we're not talking about like your average successful people here. Like the people in this book are extremely good at what they do, right? They're top performers, high achievers in their field, in their industry. So, these are maybe a little bit different type of people, I would say. But the patterns for them, for example, like work ethic, habit formation, what we were talking about, meditation, readers, right? So these type of patterns, I did know that they were there, but what I think maybe I can agree with you is that just seeing it like that probably will surprise the reader, right? So
did it still surprise you that given their varied backgrounds and the kind of diverse people that you had in this book, that there were still patterns that emerged?
And that's the thing. No, because for me, like, of course there are differences in industries, in practices. Look, you have athletes, you have successful entrepreneurs, you have successful authors, writers, bloggers, all these type of people. But there's some patterns that emerge, general patterns. We're not talking about. Whereas meditation is actually pretty specific, right? Or reading is actually pretty specific still, but there's broader themes out there, such as work ethic, such as desire, passion for doing what you love, loving what you do. So these type of things, these patterns, I've seen them before, right? And I think that it wasn't what surprised me, but what surprised me was being able to see it so clearly in this book.
Like it really depends what you're after. If you're after a book that shows you the habits and tactics to become like a billionaire or like a performance athlete, or really honing in skills to become more efficient, then Tools of Titans is the way to go. If you want to find out the other side to it, if you want to find out how can you maximize efficiency to maximize happiness, or to maximize all aspects of your life, not just becoming the best at your profession, all that kind of stuff, or how to say no, all these kind of aspects, it depends what you're after. For me, at this stage, I feel like Tribe of Mentors gave me more value than Tools of Titans did at the point at which I read it. So for me, like, for instance, is how would someone who's driven, what would you tell them? Because I feel like I'm still quite early in the process. I mean, I'm still early, mid-20s. So it's how does someone find or curb their ambition in order to maximize their happiness at the same time? So that wasn't really addressed in Tools of Titan as much as it was in Tribe of Mentors. So in this period of my life, I feel like Tribe of Mentors gave me more value. I think it just depends on the person who approaches and reads it and what situation they're in their lives. So what about you?
I think that Tribe of Mentors hones in on one aspect of Tools of Titans, right? Because Tools of Titans, it had a section on health, wealth, and I believe wisdom, right? Or wise, right? And the wise would be basically like the happiness part, right? Or the fulfillment part. So I think that Tribe of Mentors is the wise part, but then more expensive.
Yeah.
I have to go with Tribe of Mentors, and since obviously we're going to have to grade this book, I don't know if we have to use stars or from 1 to 10 because we're doing it differently.
I think we can just say just read it. I think it's very simple. Just get it.
Just get it. I mean, I think that once we're going to go past a certain amount of years, maybe when Tim Ferriss is maybe in his 60s or something, that these books will be called legendary.
Yeah. Right?
These books will be legendary. I think that Tim Ferriss probably would be named like the modern day Napoleon.
But just some closing thoughts from me. You can give some at the end. I think that if you are a fan of Tim Ferriss and you've consumed his content, then you need to get this book. If you're a general reader, then I still recommend that you get like 4 Hour Work Week, or you listen to his podcast before you buy this book. If you like the ideas that you get from his podcast or the 4 Hour Work Week, then definitely move your way up to Tools of Titans and Tribe of Mentors. I feel like it's a bit overwhelming if you start at a Tools of Titans and Tribe of Mentors. Either way, I really think that this is a great book. And like you said, I think it will be a perennial seller. I think it will last the test of time.
Yeah. So I think I'm just going to add on to that and just say that, I'm going to stand by what On said. I just want to tell you guys, the 1 Minute Book Review family, the Know Your Books family out there, the viewers out there, we're all a big family, loving nonfiction books, loving self-help, improving every single day.
Yeah.
Just to get into the book, I would say that you should get this book. Like, there's no way that you can keep this off your shelf. And if you keep it off your shelf, then probably you're going to hear it or come across it on our feeds more often and eventually you will get it.
Yeah.
So I think after you finish this, you should get this book. I think it can help you improve your life when it comes to avoiding certain mistakes, common mistakes that are made, how to get certain habits in your life that can make you a better person and make you more successful. And yeah, I think this is going to be indeed one of those books that are going to stand the test of time and become a classic, like Think and Grow Rich, like How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's going to take time, but it's going to be there, you know, and we both agree on that. So if it's 5 years or 6 years, you're going to look back at this, make sure you mention that we said it was going to be like the same.
Thanks for watching and listening as well, because I know this is a test for both of us. So if you've made it through the hour and 45, mad respect to you.
And thank you so everyone that's watching right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you have any topics that you want us to cover, if you maybe want us to do something else, give us your feedback in the DMs, in the comments on YouTube. You can both find us at 1 Minute Book Review and at Know Your Books. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow. You know what it is. It's all love. Thank you.
What he said.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for watching, and I just want to tell you guys, if you want to give us any feedback, please make sure to do it in the comments or drop us a DM or email. We love to know what you think about this particular video and podcast. I definitely think it's worth a repeat, but I really want to know what your opinion is on what we just did. All right, thank you so much for watching, and if you're here, then you should probably know your books.